Now, yes.
All right, I will call to order the joint school board meeting for September 20th, 2021. We'll do a roll call. Susan Levinson. Yes. Kathy Brosnan. Carol Roberts. Martin, sorry, I stopped reading. Megan Sabasco. Yes. All right, and Lori is not here today. All right, Sarah Carey. Yes. Amanda Roy. Yes. Mrs. Berry is unable to be here tonight. Brian Winslow is unable to be here tonight, and Jennifer is here. Okay. We have no members of the public here, so I think we can skip over our public comments. Next, we have the approval of our minutes from August 9th, public and non-public. Did everyone get a chance to review those? See if there were any changes.
Somewhere at the top, we should note that this is attending by phone.
It does say it on 9/24, but I think maybe putting it up at the top too.
We had the conversation about coaching. Brian has nominated, and so let's talk about this. And then we said we're going to be co-chair. So I think both commissions with the co-chair.
Yes.
And then I should just do that sentence. Of Brian Sally about co-chair.
And I'm going to. Jill just informed me that she wasn't here. So,
Was Linda here? No, I don't think so.
no.
Crossed her off as well. Anything else? No. Take a motion.
We got like 7
Oh,
on line 97. I was wondering if we should say this video is coming up. And then I thought that this was the meeting that we talked about purchasing additional air filtration systems for the preschool. But I
Yeah,
don't
it did.
remember, I think it would have been on.
It was, yeah, like line 127, somewhere in there, 126 it starts.
Yeah, as we discussed, I thought we would have done a motion. I thought we did the motion to approve it to certain. I know it's.
I think it was a consensus.
Since there's things but we also discussed the fact that the consultant and is no longer with us. So the board did the consultant in with the consultant. Others to explain to review some procedural language with management, but we also going to improve. I know that Mr. Rowland was pretty specific in the 2 methods. That we can do with the unassigned fund balance. Not, I personally like to see a little bit more about documenting the minutes and presenting the signatures. for guidance, if you will.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Right, the timing of. So forth.
Anything else? All right, we'll do a roll call. Susan? Yes. Kathy? Yes. Sarah? Yes. Megan? I assume. Sarah? Amanda?
Abstain.
We didn't include the non-public in that. It's my fault. Does anyone have a quick review, any concerns about the non-public minutes?
I only thought like that, the public minutes reflected several reasons that we're going to non-public and other discussion. So this is personal numbers. So I thought this- Or we went in under ACD and L, so I thought it was.
Motion for the non-public minutes? Susan? Yes. Kathy? Yes. Sarah? Sarah? Amanda? Abstain. Do you have any committee reports tonight? Like, is it? All right, Glenn, would you like to do your business administrator
Sure.
report?
So the memo that outlines the financial reports that's in the packet. One note I'll change, like on the cover page of that memo is the version of the report is actually the actual to 8/31/21. Change that date before I put it at the top. So the financial reports you have are for the year end of June 30, 2021. At first page is the revenue. So there was $19,500 to change received greater than what was anticipated in the general fund. And preschool is the other way, it was about $46,000 less than what was anticipated. But there's also corresponding savings and expenditures on the preschool side that balances that out. Any questions on revenues? On board preschool. Last year. Okay, now on the next page is the summary of expenditures by department. Budgetary savings, operational savings for the year. And on the preschool side, it's just over $58,000 operational savings there. Questions on summary of expenses? Okay. In the next several pages are the individual line items for both the general fund and then towards the end is the preschool. Everybody have any specific line items they would like to discuss or questions? No? Easy to see.
Well, I was trying to figure out how to see this, but legal expenses way more than we budgeted for. Are we going to go back to what this conservative expense expectation is year coming?
So my hope is that we will be able to. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is that we did have someone who was new to the state, mining through everything that was also going on new for COVID. So there were some questions that came up, multiple questions that came up through. So the hope is that it will go down. That's my intention. I try not to reach out to them often. The other thing that you have is you had the transition separation agreement, which took a lot more time than what we thought it would do. So that separation agreement with your district that was leaving took up some of that cost. So the hope is it will be greatly reduced this year.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts on specific lines?
Questions? So this is the closed books as far as the SAU is concerned, subject to.
I'll say 95% close. I have not had time yet to give it a thorough go through. So I would say 95% yes. I have verified all of the encumbrances. It's why there's no encumbrances showing. So it's a matter of go through balance sheet, balance sheet, and so on.
And then that.
Yep.
And these are the numbers you would base the years in the filing.
Correct.
Considering the last 5% adjustments will come first.
Correct.
To 25, and then the adjusting interest, obviously.
Yeah. Then moving into the grant reports for the last two remaining combination grants between Northwood and Nottingham. Two IDA grants. One from 1819 and then 1920. Both of those two sunset expire as of the end of September 30th. Grants manager and special ed and Charles Jill has been working feverishly to make sure that everything is expended and documented and sent off to the state university. On grant reports. Cash flow projection and treasury statement. So through August 30th, or 31st rather, this is reflecting the actuals. So the actual cash balance as of August 31st for the SAU is $318,357. Inflows for the month of $600,565 and outflows of $411,268. Next two pages are supporting documents for that balance. The first one, first page shows the activity from in essence, beginning balances from July 1st, and the increase decrease that goes into reflective of the month for August, giving the ending balance from transaction balance from July 1 to August 31st of the 156, and then the written number is the balance carried forward as of June 30, which is another 163,321, which takes us to 318,356. That's penciled in because of the software system. You actually have to do a hard close to move one month to the other to move balances. Right, until we know we're pretty close to being done. So that's why it's penciled in. Yeah. And then the last page is estimates, obviously unaudited and projected fund balance for the SAU, for the general fund, as well as for the preschool fund. The top half is the general fund. It starts with the fund balance that was audited as of August of 2020, of 202,842. Total revenues received for the general fund is 1,205,954. Subtract or less the total expenditures for the general fund of 1,261,622 gives the FY21 surplus total of 34,312. Added to the 202 gives it 237,154. The bottom portion and the middle portion is left over from the Stratford separations and show each district's rough apportionment of that, and that's a 1 year snapshot. So I know Stratford and right on the 5 year average. I think it was right. Yeah. And then the bottom part is the preschool same information. So total revenues received of 346 to 69, less the total expenditures of 310,908 with the preschool in FY21 surplus of 35,000. Questions on that or anything else that I brought forward?
The preschool balance, we typically send back, so that's available. Or do we typically wait until we have a full audit?
I would say wait till you have a full audit, but that's.
And then one other quick question, just going back to the IDEA grants. Just a heading type question, so I can understand better. So we've got IDA / we've got preschool
Right.
and all districts. So I know that the preschool funding is small, but it's just, they're both together then, I'm
Correct.
assuming,
Correct.
4,000 or 5,000 each district.
Yep.
All right, and then the first one, that's the 2019 to 2021, when is that one? And the other
September
two?
3rd.
So
They both on
everything-
September 3rd.
So those are all the finals and then individual.
Correct.
Preschool money is that lesser dollar amount.
Yeah. Just the two together.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Warren?
Typically, I would say continuation, but I have some things that I need to help with that as I go in and we're talking about it already. So I hope I don't. Yeah. And I feel really bad because it was nice enough for him to come and help out tonight because, as you know, he had pretty much wrapped up with us. But one of the things I want to bring to you involves him down the line, plus some of the things that we have done before he left to try to help us out.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
But
Now we're for student services report, Ms. LaBelle.
Sure. We have a student services report in the packet. So I did include the step-by-step preschool numbers at the top of the referrals. The open referrals right now are 5 total. And Mr. Barrington let me know that you had started putting these into your individual board reports at the end of last year. So I will do that going forward. But they're here. Enrollment numbers, our 4-year-old program has been very full. We actually have a significant waiting list for kids in the 4-year-old program. So what I wound up doing was creating a multi-age class a few mornings a week so that we could we had openings, a lot of openings in the 3-year-old class. You know, people that can hold off for another year because of COVID are doing that. But then people who held off last year when their children were 3 now really want to get them in for a 4-year-old program. So in order to accommodate everyone, I just made 2 of the mornings in multi-age class, and that allowed me to bring in everybody who's interested. So we have the total numbers there, 47 students in total, 33 tuition students and 14 students with IEPs. Our class sizes currently range from 5 to 11. So they're still smaller than usual, and usually capped at 14. And We did, from the last joint board discussion with the open plan and all that, we did want to try to keep the classes smaller than usual, but not the half size that we did last year. Any questions about preschool?
The multi-age, how's that working out? And I did notice too a little bit that we try to keep that 50-50 balance, and how, and is that an issue? I'm not complaining, that's running.
With open spots, I've taken in everybody, so that if as close, the balance is based on who is interested, right? I wasn't telling people they couldn't come in, so that's restricting that. As far as the multi-age class, I did, when I realized where our enrollment was over the summer, and really wanted to get those extra 4 roles in, I talked with the preschool teachers, they've been for so long, so I've gotten some perspective from them, and I also talked to Eliza Hewitt, who had been a coordinator for many years, and apparently they had done this before. They had done a multi-age class several years ago, before I was here, I think 4 years, so prior to that, when there was kind of the same issue, there was like a bubble, and they wanted to bring in, so they've done it before, they had a plan to do it, and it's really good. It's fine, it's productive. Yeah, I mean, it's challenging in that you're trying to teach 2 curriculums, right? And so I was pretty careful about the kids that I put in there. And I did have a couple of parents that were more concerned about not wanting their child to be in multi-age, and so I kind of worked with them and so everybody's happy. It did take some work, and it does take some work on the teacher's part to run the class that way, because it's definitely different teaching. 2 teachers for no, just 1 teacher. Okay.
So still the morning, Friday out for playing.
Right. So what I do is I made, usually the mornings of the 3-year classes, I made 2 mornings a week.
But there's no one, no wait list, and everyone is able to have a spot.
And I still have spots, so I'll say that.
So it's just a creative way to accommodate more kids, which I think helps with that kindergarten, meeting kindergarten, so they have this.
Any other questions about this? The other piece on the report here is the opt-out program numbers. So we have a total of 12 full-time students and 13 part-time students right now. Questions about anything?
What are those numbers compared to past years?
They are pretty on par with previous years. Some years we have as many as 15 to 16 students. Typically, especially with what's been going on with the pandemic, we would see some shifts of going down, hoping to get them back in. This year, we kept more of the students that we ended with. So at this time, when we say for the year, that's pretty typical. For the start of the year, that's a little higher than average. At the start of the year, we're usually like 9 or 10. So we started a little higher because some of the students that we were able to transition back couldn't leave because they, for any number of reasons. We were able to work out some agreements with the districts that are not part of SAU 44 to keep their students in, and it's a beneficial program for those students.
One other thing we just want to note, back to preschool. Yesterday and I did talk about the decisions around masking. I know this has been long discussions at the individual board levels. For preschool, we talked about basically going with a more restrictive building option. So if one building is mask required, then we'll do that in preschool for staff. And both buildings are mask that for preschool for staff. We did have one instance of COVID, and we had one person that is still in quarantine and is scheduled to come off this week. So and then the last thing was, I know also on the board levels, we've been having discussions about subpay. And the sub pay has gone up for both of the buildings. Those are the same subs that we're trying to get to come to preschool. So I just feel that there was an observation that the preschool sub pay was $75 a day until this year, and we did go up to 80, but it's still significantly less than we're now paying the building.
I don't think we were considering preschool when we made that.
Right.
decision.
Is there a shortage of everyone?
Yes, always. We've not been able to get this yet. So yes. We've done a few things. I mean, we've combined classes one day, on a day that there were really, really small numbers. And we had students out that were not expected to be out, and we were able to do that so that there wasn't just one teacher in the class with all the kids. In general, we have one teacher and one para, so if one person is out, we have a second para that is there as a one-to-one. It's wonderful that comes in the morning with the person.
Just to clarify, so if you don't mind, so I'm gonna try to talk about this as a bit. So these are certified teachers that we're talking about, or POs. I think when we were talking about this at the local level, we were talking about filling teacher positions. Were we not? Or-
No, that was the full sub pay.
It wasn't for anybody.
That was just for anyone. So, does anyone have any thoughts about bumping up some pay for the preschool?
I've only 2,000 passed, and I don't have any in front of me. And you've never used all your subline. My recommendation would be to at least match Northwoods, so it's $90, so it's $90, so that they're at least competitive with the other schools. I mean, by no means do we want to take away subs from any of the buildings, but that's kind of that's at this point. If you have the option between the two, that's what winds up happening. Is they look at whichever one's going to premium.
Pulling from the same pool of subs, for example, if you're having, are we reaching out to Northwood, see if they have any extra subs or some people in some ways they can reach out to?
That's what I think. That's what I've done. I have, there's one person that I know who has been interested in being a preschool sub, who is not on any of the other lists. She was our English teacher, and so she's willing to kind of do it on a spot basis, but didn't want to work permanently. So I reached out to her first, and then after that, the only other options that I have is to contact the sub coordinators in each buildings and say, is there anyone on your list that is willing to come in? And they both told me that they don't have enough to cover their building, so offer anybody up yet. I know all three entities also have posted positions, on the website. I have noticed that there have been applications recently, people who apply to work as the non, but not in school, they're posted, so.
She got 7.
Well, that's.
So it's coming.
There's a light. Maybe.
Any other discussion on that?
I think the motion to me is the feeling to match. There, no, sorry.
I'm like, I'm going sub.
All right, and we can do roll call vote for that. Diane Sabowska,
Yes.
Carol Martin,
Yes.
Kathy Dawson,
Yes.
Sue Levinson,
Yes.
Sarah Carey,
Yes.
Amanda Roy,
Yes.
and Jen Harmon, yes. So that will pass unanimously. Except the application's flooding.
I'm ready.
All right, anything else for Ms. Lavalley? Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll start with the personnel report. At this time, I don't have a formal personnel report for you. There's been no there's no one formally to bring for nomination. However, I do want to bring to the board's attention that I have been informed that our secretary for the board for the minutes is no longer willing to be the secretary, too much going on. She did say that she would be willing to do tonight's meeting for me because it was short notice. I have since found a replacement for that role moving forward. Someone who used to do minutes for Northwood. If the board's okay with it, I'll bring that forward. I can't bring it forward. We do a special meeting where we could do it from at that meeting, and then she could take the minutes off of the video. But Ms. Trito has told me that she'd be willing to step in and take over the role for the remainder of the year. The secretary. I couldn't bring a resignation because I didn't have it formally. I was just told that they weren't, and then in the process of trying not to be short-handed, I wanted to try to bring forward that I did find someone who's going to step in. And I could have them do the minutes remotely for the first one, and then from that point on, so I could do the nomination.
She was on.
Just the joint, it was just too much to do all of it. I think part of it that she said, it was the audio, it was hard for her to do it remotely. I think the other part was there's just so many people at the meeting to keep up with. It was taking her longer than what she thought she could do for a shorter meeting. So she just said she has too much going on.
So then the new person.
She will be willing to come in person. She had done the other meetings in person. So I think this first one, like I said, because I can't truly nominate, we could nominate at the next one and then they could come in. The other thing is knowing that if I stay within budget, if you want to give me authorization, I can have that next one. And then just get nomination after the fact. So she can come in at 10. She said she would. She just didn't know what the same as what we had been budgeted, yes. I'd have to look that up. I wanted to verify what it was. I believe it was 25, but I want to verify. I just wanted to bring it to you as this just all took place today.
So you put that tip for resume in?
Yes, yes, everything just like normal. Yeah. I would make sure it stays within the budget.
We want to give Mr. Byrne the authority to make that a hire. We need to do a vote on that, or can we just consent?
The consensus would work because then what I have to do is bring it forward for an official vote. No, I can just have to attend that meeting.
Anyone opposed to Mr. Byrne taking the lead on finance and sector? No?
So then the next thing on the personnel, as you know, Mr. Waring is no longer really going to be with us. But he has let me know that he's willing to help and limp us along in a very, very minimal amount of approach, not even close to what we would need, but help us get through this process. So he's able to give some extra things, which I'd like to talk about in non-public in more detail. So I want to talk about that. Correspondence. I don't have any updated correspondence. Under the separation agreement, I have reached out to a lawyer. He has said he would reach out to the other agency's lawyer, so Stratford's lawyer, and get back to me. I reached out to him about a week ago, and I have not heard back from him yet. And when it goes to the whole trying to keep the costs down, I don't want to keep bugging him to keep looking, but I did remind him that we're looking for that separation agreement. So he did reach out to Stratford's attorney, letting him know that we're looking for that.
So we will follow up on that, I guess, between meetings, but I guess the question I have is, some time ago, was it 2.5 months ago at this point, maybe more, I don't remember. We looked at their proposal, we made a response, we provided it to our attorney, and I'm not sure that our attorney was able to get it on vacation. My concern is that that hasn't gone forward to the other attorney.
That is not my understanding. My understanding is,
Okay.
yeah, it went all the way over, they looked at it, and what I understand is they couldn't make a decision because even though they sent us a copy and we marked it up and then sent the copy back, the full board on their side hadn't looked at the original copy that we then marked up. So it was just the first blush. So we sent that next completely edited copy, and they have seen their edited copy.
Okay. So they may, we thought, put forth their offer, well, and we go ahead and do that with our team. All right, I don't know, I think it's kind of lost right now. So, we'll find out after.
I am more than happy to contact Mr. Graham again and say, hey, can you give me an actual timeline of when this needs to be done? Get it in writing that it's been sent along. I can do whatever you'd like from Mr. Graham, but I did ask. He, we corresponded and was like, nope, they have it. I'm waiting to hear back.
So as long as we know that we have it, I'm fine. I don't feel that they need to try further. I heard from that time that they don't think.
Okay, let me check on Mr. Graham because.
I mean, I
we gave it
think
to
it's
Mr.
probably
Graham.
just a communication issue or two, and not a concern.
So we could just confirm which version.
Right.
I will do that. The next part, the updated release, I want to talk a little bit about that in public. But I do want to let you know that in my discussions with the landlord, I walked around, we went upstairs, he looked at the entire upstairs, and that was one of the things he asked us to move stuff out so that he could he said he's just gonna wait till next year, because he didn't ask us to do it during the school year. Once he realized the amount of students that come in and out of the building and everything that was going on, and he saw what was there, he said, no, I can wait. The only thing he asked for was access to get into it in the evening if they were going to do some cabinet measuring, because he is thinking about updating the cabinet stuff. But he said, other than that, we are all set. We don't have to move anything out right now. So that was a positive. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that was in the lease, and since it's a lease part, I kind of would rather talk about it in non-public and then bring it back out to discuss in more detail. And I know that the board had asked me to look into something else on that too, so I wanted to bring that back. At this point, one of the other items that I've asked Mr. Waring to stay to help me with is we had discussed the front line of the time and attendance once before, or a couple times, and I didn't bring the whole printout. I just brought the budgetary amount because Mr. Waring reached out to them, and that is the number from a couple months ago, about a month ago. And that number is actually going to be a little less now, because what they do is they charge you based on the overall monthly, the use, how often you're using it, and the number of staff. Mr. Waring has shared with me that the implementation cost is based on number of personnel. And that goes the same with the yearly cost. So the yearly cost being right around $7,000 and the implementation cost being right around $4,000. Mr. Waring shared with me that the implementation cost would not be as extensive for for Nottingham School District after the separation, because we have Mr. Stanley, who has helped with some of those implementations with Stratford. They specifically asked if Mr. Stanley was still with us. And Mr. Ryan said yes, and they said, well, that would be good because he could help the process and save a lot of that implementation cost for Nottingham. With that being said, the $7,000, the approximate $7,000 would actually be split again because it goes by personnel. So if you kept this time management in place for the following year at either district, it would be about half the cost or reduced amount because it goes by your personnel. If I've missed anything, I'm gonna let Mr. Warren speak to it. But then if you have any major questions, I'd also let Mr. Warren. I just tried to fill in with the informal. Thanks. So the one part that I would talk to about this is the really reason we felt like this was an important thing for us, especially with this year, was the continued short staffing that we have in our business office. This would expedite payroll, which we know has been some of an issue, trying to get it last minute, trying to get the time cards from people, knowing that we have to pay them either way. This would eliminate some of the frustration they have because if we do it digitally, it would get to us, we don't have to worry about it. It also reduces the amount of time for payroll so that they would be able to further help with the AP process of purchasing and getting everything in, which I know was delayed this year as well. Is that correct? So I'll let the board ask any questions, and I think Mr. Warren can fill most of them, or I'll try as well.
Just a question on the second part is for 2022 and 2023, is that just an estimate?
Correct, and that's based off of the current level of personnel for both schools.
So there is not an implementation cost.
There will be the 4,600 that will be for the first year. But what was explained is for year two, right? So because the big concern and issue is that each of you are in your own district and you want to take your software with you. Obviously 44 will also be Northwood School District, so they have it. Nottingham wants to continue to use it. They in essence would be selling the software again to Nottingham. And I said that the 7,350 cost is pretty fixed if you split it based off of. So the 4,600 is what we pushed back on, and the information I got back as explained was that the lion's share of that cost is to migrate the data from the old system to the new. Asked them about how difficult that was, and that's when we said, well, you still have Aaron Stanley with you. And we said, we do. So, well, he would certainly be able to handle moving that, especially where you're moving it from the same piece of software to the same piece of software. I'm not an IT guy, but I kind of pushed back with him. Is it as simple as taking a backup of the old one and restoring it in the new one? And he said, in all intents and purposes, yes. So the 4,600 will be, I'm sure, some charge of that, but it will not. He made me believe that it would not be an excessive charge.
But just to clarify, this is another additional module,
Yes.
and this is in the budget or not in the budget?
It is.
And these amounts are within budget?
Yes.
So currently, if we add this additional module, it will be for unlimited usage for Northwood and Nottingham, and that usage portion would be 6,500. But in order to implement the module, we're going to pay 4,600.
Yeah.
And the reason we think we don't have it now.
Right.
So right now we're doing annual time attendance, so folks are out sick or what have you, they do time points. And Alma doesn't offer this. This is where I come up with questions because we've got so many software systems and I don't know what each one is capable of. And we just spent an additional tens of thousands of dollars for Alma in Nottingham. And then I look at this end user, if Nottingham leaves, you pay 7,350 as a single district.
No. That's combined.
That's combined.
So you pay
You pay roughly half of that
whatever your number of personnel is.
in addition to the 99 implementation that we don't think would be material.
Correct.
Frontline you can use as your, you can use
rules that your employees can also use to track their professional development hours as well as their time off. For almost just your student information system. You know, but
Well, I think it is, almost pretty robust.
Yeah.
I don't know much about all of it.
Well,
Use Power School.
But they use Frontline currently for the continuing education, that's already
Yeah,
being
that we're
implemented.
using, so we've got certain pieces of frontline already.
So this is just an additional package to, one of the other parts is, as you know, we've had different audit findings. This would eliminate some of that findings, not all of it, they like it because it's a perfect trail. There's none of this, I'm gonna look for this signature, I'm gonna look for that signature. And there's not a record, it's literally you go to it and print it and everything prints out.
But there's nothing in the management letter about, you're just talking process. So I'm concerned, I'll say, I'm concerned about adding software, and I personally don't have full understanding of the software that's currently out, and the modules that may or may not be available. That's my concern. And procedure not being fully written, obviously, at this point. So
So
when you talk about implementing additional modules, it comes along with it, you have procedures that you need to have written up. And when you start talking about the auditors, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at what are your procedures for this. And so
part of that initial implementation will be the training on the procedure and how to take care of it. But once it's in place, your normal, whoever does your time cards and payroll will already have that in place. They'd already do that procedure. And we do use the frontline system for our PD. We use the frontline system just for your time off, but not for the tracking of your normal time in. Your everyday thing. This is a different module. We have absent management we have, but this then is for your hourly and your grant level funded, anyone who needs to do a time card. This is an additional feature to track that. That's the stuff that we get looked at. Because one of the things I'll be honest with you is one of the things in our grant in our time cards, a lot of the time have the exact same lunch to the minute every time. And that's one of the things they find issues with the labor board down the line, because it wouldn't be the exact same lunch every time in and out. So this does it a little bit different of a way. So it is a different part of the program. It's kind of like just adding more and more features to it. So we don't currently have that in place. We have portions of it. This would just be an add-on, and it was something that I believe they tried to add on 2 or 3 years ago, but it was that same uncertainty in what it was. But it was brought that it was a concern that we weren't, like from our staff here at SAU, we weren't able to keep track of it fast enough.
So this is just for our employees.
Anyone who's required to do a time card.
Other personnel to do that.
You could do it with your school teachers as well, but it's really,
So it's not the whole personnel population, it's just the.
Well, I think, yeah, and I think
Sounds
ideally,
like you've already got it. You've already got it
ideally it
managed
would be
for-
for everybody. And we want everybody to track their time and attendance through this, even if they're salaried employees.
Mhm.
The reason we want to do that, the primary reason is so you know who's in the building, who's not in the building, and for workers' comp reasons. If you have a salaried employee, they're in the building, they're not in the building, they get injured, they're not in the building, but they say they're in the building. And so it becomes accountability and trackability, mitigate risk and liability for the districts and for the SAU. As well as to move towards the automated system takes out human error, as well as whether intended or not intended human error, and writing out a pencil.
That's what we're doing. And I'm assuming your salary folks are submitting when they have exceptions, such as the taking vacation or for the rest of the time, it's just assuming that they.
Correct. Correct, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just set the system where we would require them to approve the staff to approve.
Right.
So it's a double check against that. Okay.
But no, you are checking currently in the current system for salary.
Well,
This would be for.
no, currently we're not. Currently, if somebody is has an approved absence, payroll would know about that, but they're not getting a record of when we came in the building and when they left the building. Not currently.
So this would be sort of a time. Using this to show you when they're coming in and then.
Yes.
And it wouldn't just be hourly people, it would be your salary people as well.
And that
It would
it
be
could be done that way.
parking, you know. And right now you have a procedure for approval of time off and sick time to draw down your PTO members. That's why it's being done.
My recommendation would be to close it. And start it out. Also, salary do it, start it out. That's really the time part pieces where we're having.
Since it's, some of this is calculated based on number of personnel, was it only calculated based on the hourly personnel?
I don't believe so.
I wasn't sure, you know,
I
it
don't-
says,
I don't believe so.
you know, when you said that, you know, the implementation, the data,
Mhm.
the personnel, if that was just looking at it
Yeah.
per person of everyone in the whole district, or just hourly employees. Because that's a big difference, if it was just hourly employees, and the price would go up.
To your salary employees have to submit, like if they have, if they work on the front end, they submit and they would get paid hourly for certain types of. would get paid
Right.
hourly.
Right, because he has twice an hourly.
That's right. Currently, we're just looking for our hourly staff is really what it works out to be.
I just wrote that it was based on the number of personnel was how they got to that number, so I was just curious what number that they used for that.
Don't list it in the proposal, how many personnel they estimated it off. But only this,
That's just my final question would be for our projected forecast. These numbers were in the budget. So this.
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with that
That will not-
report,
this
because
will
that's
not-
last year, this is in.
So I'm looking at the one,
So this is in the 2022
yeah,
budget.
you're right, okay, I thought we projected, okay. But this is in the budget.
Yes. This marker is included in the budget.
Seems like a really good efficiency with that.
Whereas, administrative assistants, anybody else. It's right on the computer, it's not writing. It's all on it.
They have an app. That's the phone as well.
Really wanna take a vote on this?
Yes, please.
We'll be looking at just for this next, for the top portion, looking at. I know this is moving forward and trying to contract for.
So it would be in the amount not to exceed $11,104.25. It should be less because the start date was 8/12 and it's now 9/20. So you're gonna use it again less. And I can also clarify, if we're really only looking for our hourly staff, can we reduce that cost a little more? And I'll verify that with them. But it would be not to exceed that number that's there.
The 11.
Yeah, and then the following year, you would have the amount, like it says, is 7,300. And the reason it's 7,350 is because they're basing off the full year versus a reduced portion of the year. That's why it's that much more. It's not like it's that big of an increase. It's just not a decrease in savings because you're using it for the entire year. Right. So they're prorating it for us to try to get us to buy into that.
And obviously, we need to approve the next slide because that's why.
Yes, because this, yeah, this ends 6:30, so we want to, you then you get a new number from them for just Nottingham and then just Nottingham, so you can put it in your operating budget.
Maybe a salary increase probably, but roughly 7,350 to our annual increase. Not 4,600 would probably be,
I hope it'd be under $1,000.
100,000, so I would think it would be half of that. So we have uncertainty for now and then about what this would mean. If we negotiation with them for our go forward. I'm not in favor of it to those reasons, even though things are efficient and they sound good, and I like to vote for good things, I also need to think about the cost aspects of it. So,
I look at, just business system items at work, for exempt staff, you don't have to clock in and clock out, and we're just still having a free for a time sheet, so at the end of the payroll cycle, not to double check again, so they actually take the time requested. What did they take? So I would be in favor of if they have that functionality, and then clock in, clock out every time you leave. I think it's worth having that from. It's actually that. So I would be in favor of keeping it for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the town attendance. Supposed, up to $11,100.
Roy with the second. And to our vote, Megan Sebasco. Yes. Harold Martin. Yes. Kathy Brosnan. Yes. Stephen Levinson. No. Sarah Carey. Yes. Amanda Roy. Yes. And Jennifer is a yes. So the motion passes 6-1.
That was my only I have more to bring to you, but no.
All right, well, I think we can excuse Mr. Roy now.
Actually, I still have one more thing I wanted to talk about.
Thanks for trying, Jesse.
He knows.
I appreciate it.
He knows. We won't keep him the whole non.
Thank you.
This is out of order, but just, while we're still on. The next meeting is scheduled for.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. It's, I got my note. That's why I said I still got my one.
All right, are there any other items before the board that we need to discuss this evening? All right, we can go. I'll make a motion that we enter non-public under RSA 91A 3-2
A, B, C, and D.
A, B, C, and D. Bill?
And then this is supposedly, motion to speak about this.
All set.
Yes, we are.
Right.
All right, we are back from non-public at 8:13. While in non-public, we discussed personnel and lease contracts, yeah. We do have one motion to make. I'll make a motion to allow Mr. Byrne to speak with the landlord about the lease agreement. Roll call through. Megan Sabasco,
Yes.
Carol Martin, Kathy Brosnan,
Yes.
Sue Levinson, yes, Sarah Carey,
Yes.
Amanda Roy, yes, and Jen Powell, yes. All right. So now we're looking at future meeting agenda items. Anything we discussed that we need to put on for next month? Mhm. Anything else? All right, our next meeting is set for October 11th, but that is Columbus Day.
Yeah, so Northwood has their day off, it's Indigenous people, I believe you switched it to, and then
Yes.
Northwood is the Columbus Days, the SAU office is actually closed as well.
Mhm.
I looked at the calendar, the 18th is the following Monday,
Mhm.
which puts us out just a little past where we're at now. If we moved it the week ahead to the Monday before, that would only give 2 weeks between. I'm not sure if we want to only do 2 weeks. I don't know that that would be necessary. So.
The only thing we have is like the federal law conference, which I ends at 3, so. So, but because this one is later, to move the next one, I have to just. That's the only thing.
All right, so do we want to do Monday, October 18th? Same time, 6:30, same location here. Get a motion to adjourn.
No, because everyone's here.
Right, because we're in person. Yeah, we can do another meeting. All right, then.
I thought you wanted it just for the money votes, that's why I left it.
Nope, that's just me being inexperienced. All right, all in favor of adjournment? All right, perfect. Look at us.